Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Wolf, and I'm casting a game between the blue Protoss Arson, hard to say, red Terran BingoBango on Scrap Station. I love this map. First map I ever saw of Starcraft 2, but I've never even played Starcraft 1 before I saw this map. So, this game, I'm going to consider it a Starcraft advice game, and you are kind of going to listen to me, but I want to feel like a discussion here. We're going to talk about Protoss Air, which, I mean, that's kind of the theme I'm going for here. Today I'm going to try to cast 3 games. Maybe I'll just get to 2. I got a, well, maybe I'll get to 5. So 2 to 5 games. This is 1. I want to do a game about Protoss Air, and then I want to do a game about PvT. A friend of mine was learning a lot by listening to my advice about playing Terran and my weird mumbo-jumbo shit. I'm like, guys, you can do it. And you're like, this is damn. And then I got a friend, the voice of reason is this Starcraft arena writer, and he's the bomb. Like, seriously, the stuff he writes is amazing. So, before this game gets too underway, we're going to talk about, this is a spoiler, guys, because this is an advice game. I think spoilers are fine. This game is going to feature carriers. And now, he said it wasn't really because the carrier was a sufficient asset, but more because his opponent wasn't that good. And so I hope my own thought discussion here is able to kind of get a solution to Protoss Air. Now, against Zerg, Protoss Air is not a problem. I mean, burrow isn't that common. Burrowed roaches aren't a quick danger. I mean, Stargate openings are freaking hand gestures. I'm doing so many of them. I think it's good, though. Stargate openers are so common against Zerg, you know? Void Rays for those, what are they called? Roaches. And you got Phoenix for the Mutalisks and harass units. That's great. Against Protoss, I do believe that with the Phoenix buff, and not just the Phoenix buff, but the primary thing is the Void Ray buff. With the Void Ray buff, I do believe the PvP will become a little more dynamic. You know, if you don't go Robo, you're in danger of Dark Templar. If you don't go Robo, if you go Robo, though, you got to worry about Stargate, because Stargate units can fly, and then Void Rays shoot everything down. But if you go Dark Templar, it's like, who cares? I'm blowing up your buildings with Void Rays. So I do feel as though the Protoss versus Protoss is going to get a lot cooler soon. And so, right now, I can't really talk too much about that specifically. I do... As soon as the patch comes out, I'm going to want those PvP replays where you go Stargate, guys. So I'm really in the mood for some Stargate games. I feel the Stargate. So, but the big thing here is we know how to use Phoenix. They're important harass units, and like all Protoss, man, this thing's squeaking a lot in my hair. There we go. Like all Protoss Tier 2 units, the Phoenix is a counter unit. It's the only unit in the Protoss army that has bonus damage to light. Interesting. Did you know that? I'm sure you did. You're like, this is dumb. I knew that. It's the only Protoss unit that has bonus damage to light. And the Void Ray, of course, is really good against armored and now massive, or soon to be massive, which is something I've always been an advocate for, was making them stronger to massive units. So, we know how to use those Tier 2 units. We just need to scout our opponent properly and make the correct unit counter to it. I mean, when it comes down to individual units, I'm not going to tell you guys how to use a Phoenix. Like, here's how to use a Phoenix. Good luck, everybody else. You know, you fly in, you pick up units, just shoot them. There's a lot of little things about a unit, and I think that in terms of specificness, especially when you try to use a unit out of its role, because I'm a firm believer that Protoss units, none of them are meant to harass. It's how you use them that's meant for harass. Like a Banshee, that's a harass unit. Reapers, harass. Of course, Terran's a great example. Mutalisks are harass units, unless you get 100 of them. But Protoss armies, I think Blizzard kind of went for the idea of they are the race that wants to fight in an army and die together. So I think that when any of the Protoss units, even if they're a little on the harassy side, like Phoenix, Void Rays, Dark Templar, Blink Stalkers, anything in a Warp Prism, all of those have to be used kind of in a different way. And you know, you guys can see the harass way, and then of course there's the non-harass way. And so it's like, oh, I'm going to get Blink Stalkers. Well, I can use them in an army. Oh, I got Dark Templar. I'll just attack with them. I have a Warp Prism. I'll warp in units, you know? You can use these units in an army as effective or greater than harass units. Of course, harass is an important part of the game. I feel as though harass is a Protoss weakness. If you get behind as Protoss, then it's really hard to harass your opponent if you're not already in a position where you can harass. So this game is going to be primarily talking about carriers, and I didn't do any pre-research into this. I think that's the best way to do these casts is, yeah, I mean, I could research build orders. I can research. I know they do like 10 damage with each interceptor, 160 damage, something, whatever. I mean, I can, if I think it through with you guys, I feel like you and I can learn a little bit more about it. So, now, back to the real topic though. I said PvP is going to change. Don't want to lose that soccer buddy. Oh, he's so slow. He's like, gotta get away. Ooh, the smoke saved his life. Oh, that's beautiful. Great micro. Protoss versus Protoss is likely to change soon. That's something I can't exactly comment on. Zerg versus Protoss, hell yeah. Stargate opening's common. Now against Terran, why is that we don't get Stargates? Well, answer's really simple. Marines. Marines are extremely cost effective and they're very deadly. And they're so easy to get, you know? It's like, here's a Marine. Na 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 na. And then of course, Void Rays aren't going to fight Marines. Phoenix aren't going to fight Marines, so what do you guys think about that? I'm doing a hand gesture with my right hand now because my left hand's getting tired. We do have a Void Ray coming out. Void Rays are really effective harass units, especially against supply depots, overlords, and pylons. Don't forget that excuse me, hitting workers is a great thing, but hitting those can also be great. The pylon, SCV, overlords. You just have to choose how you want to use the unit you have. You know, Phoenix are better at killing workers. Void Rays are better at killing overlords. Focus fire, bitch. And so we know how to use the counter units. It's just that Marines counter them so well. So I think at this stage in the game, it may just be a little too micro-intensive for the average, including me, Protoss player, to use a Stargate against Terran. I mean, once a Void Ray gets caught out of position, well, suddenly you're down 250 minerals, 150 gas. I'm so cool. And 3 supply. And so I think we could actually make a build order for Protoss Air. It just wouldn't be quite easy to do against Terran. But thinking about it, I do... How much does this cost? 100, 100, Forge is 150. And so, if you wanted to try this out, here's a couple of build orders for the Tier 2 Protoss units that I'm just kind of... One of them I already knew, and one of them I'm just kind of thinking. We got some standard MM here. The +1 armor charge lot attack. You could use that here. The +1 armor is only 50 gas less than a Void Ray would be. And so I think that if you use Zealots with charge, it would actually protect a Void Ray better. I wouldn't suggest using Phoenix in your main army. It's hard to tell you guys that, but they're just not that good of a unit against other army. It's because they can't shoot ground. I mean, if you have the micro to pick up the units that are dangerous, you know, he's like, oh, he's got 10 Marines, I'll pick all 10 of them up. Goodbye, Marauders to Zealots. But I admit, I don't want to get a Phoenix. I think Phoenix aren't the best for fighting with your army. The worst unit for that. So we do see a drop going on here. Protoss player completely ready for it. And if the Void Ray is able to clean up, look how fast it kills nowadays. Like seriously, that definitely wasn't a nerf. It has its advantages, but you can see how weak the Protoss ground army is. A little bit of macro fill by both players, but this Void Ray is really important here. It's got to do its counter work, otherwise it's just not doing its job well. So Void Rays are definitely better. Now we have a carrier. What do you guys think about this? Flux Veins won't be existing soon, so don't ever think about it anymore. It's just not going to be there. Graviton Catapult. Do you guys think that's an effective upgrade for carriers? Makes them launch faster. It actually, I think it is. Thinking back on what I've seen, which isn't a whole lot to tell you guys the truth, a carrier fires interceptors like pew, 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 but if you have Graviton Catapult, it will shoot out about 4 times faster, I think. And so the damage it does is a little bit more like instantaneous. And carriers are they show off the Protoss ideal of Tier 3 units really well. They do a shit ton of damage. Let's take a look. 5 times 2 times 8. Let's see, that's 40 times 2. So that's 80 damage, you know, every 3 seconds or whatever. Great. Thank you, carrier, for making those. Don't ever forget to put these on autocast anyway, unless you don't have surplus minerals, then you really need to focus on building them when you need to. PS carrier. They're easy to micro. Carriers are very easy to micro. They have an attack range of 7, I believe. I wish I could see. And but they do have a sight range of like 9 or 10. So you're able to attack and then fall back to your army safety. So carriers are a great example of strong units in terms of attack, but low in terms of health to cost ratio. So we do have flux veins. It's that upgrade. I'm gonna make a comment on it, but that's it. It's a good upgrade. It definitely made the void rate insanely fast before it was changed. It was overpowered, and then they changed it. So now nobody gets it. So they're like, whatever, guys, we're gonna get rid of the upgrade. At this point in the game, both players should have expanded. It's definitely gone on too long without any aggression. That's okay though. This game's all about carriers, and carriers are cool. Oh, don't move out, you'll die. So, another one of the builds I would suggest trying is we have the 2-gate robotics build. And that build is generally used against MM by newer players abusing force field to survive it, because MM is good against gateway in general, and newer players have difficulty dealing with it. And so I would suggest perhaps trying out a carrier instead of a Colossus, doing it in just a different way. You know, see how it just doesn't feel as good. I mean, these interceptors, if the Marines just stand there and shoot them down, great lag. I love them. Thank you. If the carriers, interceptors get just focus fired by the Marines, they die so quickly. What deals with Marines? Well, I mean, we've got Colossus. Technically, Phoenix are bonus to light. Zealots. I think units will naturally target the thing that's most dangerous to them. I don't know how Marines would deal with Zealots and carriers, so I would actually suggest trying not a +1, just a charge lot carrier attack. Give that a go. Try out some builds, guys, with carriers, because I don't think they're bad. I do think they could use a small buff of some sort, like many other Protoss units, and a lot of other ones could use a little nerf. It just seems like we always fight a little tooth and claw in quite a bit of games. The big thing about carriers, though, as I've said in one of my previous casts, is that they do so much damage, but it's so easy they're just like Marines. +1 armor to your opponent, suddenly it's doing like a quarter less damage. A fifth less damage, to be precise. That's so cool. That is cool looking. And I just completely lose focus here. Yeah, so armor upgrades are really effective against them, which in comparison to the Colossus is the same deal, but Colossus also have, you know, splash damage. And so you think the carry would be good against a single target, but it also has to be unarmored. How many of those are there? It's like, oh, I'm an Ultralisk. I have no armor. No. And so, final engagement happened here. Tons of Zealots. Beautiful. Focuses gas on his tech. Not that bad a macro fail. And actually pretty well played by both players, really. I mean, the game, the fundamentals weren't as strong, but the macro and the micro wasn't. The macro was good. The micro was a little bit lacking. I do feel, though, that perhaps just in the current way the game is played, I guess the metagame is what people like to say. Look at this. This Viking isn't doing anything. Yeah, I mean, sure, like 6 Vikings would one-shot a carrier, 2-shot it. But, if you compare a carrier to a Colossus, you can see that there's advantages and disadvantages, and I think that there could be a good build there. So, hopefully I gave you guys a little bit of thinking room here for carriers. Maybe some new build ideas just to start up on, so we can see how effective air can be. I mean, Voiders are really good units. They can shoot everything, and carriers are also pretty good. Just, I'm a little skeptic to say that. And so the big replay I want you guys to send me, if you can, would be carriers against a Terran opponent. Damn. That's really what I would love to see. Tell me about your build order, and we'll go over it. If you guys have any games of you as a Protoss player going against Terran players with carriers. And if you're Zerg or Terran and not feeling the love, well, fuck off, because Protoss is the coolest. Cool hand gesture time. Don't really fuck off. Keep watching my videos. They're full of mindless chatter and me trying to teach you guys things. Silly things. Anyway, thank you guys for watching my cast, and I hope that we can learn How to use carriers, void rays, Phoenix, a little bit better. The Protoss world. Yeah. Yeah. Did that end the cast?